Good morning, everyone. And the other side. peace circles. And reverse. Shoe circles. And reverse. And ping circles. And reverse. And reverse. And lock. Before you put your stick away, I want to follow up on what we were talking about yesterday. Two things that I forgot to do. Uh, One, remember I was mentioning when you kick, you kick from the hip, not from the foot, right? This just gives me a chance to kick this, which I really enjoy. So the question is, so you don't kick from the foot, you kick from the hip. One, all right? Why? This is a really important principle, and it applies not just to the legs but to the arms. All right? If you're going to move your arm, you move it from the shoulder. If you're going to move your leg, you move it from the hip. Why? Why not just focus on the foot? The answer is really simple. the, the hips and the shoulders are first in line to the dantian. So if you think of a chi path as coming from the dantian and moving out to your fingertips, it's going to come up to the shoulder and then the elbow and then the wrist and then the fingertips. And if you go in any other order, it sort of messes up the chi path. And you can see why. If I'm drawing back in, right? Shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingertips. If I'm going to go out, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingertips. But when you get fascinated with the hands, and you get fascinated with the feet, and you get fascinated with a target, you end up forgetting that order and you reverse the order and it doesn't work because your chi doesn't want to flow that way. Does this make sense? Jill, does this make sense? So this is true for every single Qigong exercise and every movement in Tai Chi. Anytime you move, it's hips, knees, ankles, and shoulders, elbows, wrists, so to speak.
So is this that principle of like a chain?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a chain, and if you're pulling on a chain, thank you for the imagery because it's perfect. You pull on a chain, it's going to go link by link by link. You don't end up pulling in the middle in order to get something. You pull on the end of the chain, and it just goes along. It's a very simple idea. But what happens is we fool ourselves. And if you focus on a link in the middle of the chain instead of on the link that you're pulling, your energy, your focus, your energy will go to that point. And if it's the wrong point, it doesn't do you very much good. Right? The second thing I wanted to follow up on was basically just to ask Jill. Jill, I reviewed the tape from the class last night, and I felt like I didn't really answer your question very well, or I didn't answer it in a satisfactory manner to you. I really get the information across. So can you rephrase the question or repeat the question, and we'll go into it.
You're gonna have to refresh me on what the question was about.
Well, that's yes. I'm not sure what the question was. I misunderstood it at first, partly because the audio is not as good as perhaps it ought to be, but partly just did not understand. So what were you saying? You were using some metaphor that we had used in class earlier, and I just didn't catch it quite. But if you don't even remember it, let's just skip it. I'll look at it again later, and we can.
Well, well, I'll look at it. I mean, I would assume that it's in
It's up.
what you
Yeah,
put up. Because I want to look at that again because I
yeah,
really I and I was gonna basically there's a principle in there that is like whether you answered my question or not, that I really, really started to understand this, like, like the connection between the yin and yang meridians.
Yes.
I think it was a question regarding a meridian or something, but I'll have to look.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
yeah.
well, take a look at it and see if you can refresh your memory,
Hmm.
and we can talk about it tomorrow or
Okay.
whenever you show it next.
Sure.
Okay, put your sticks away. You know, even an exercise as simple as turning your head, there's a full body chi path from the mind to the Dan Qian, down to the bottom of the right foot, back up to the Mingmen behind the Dan Qian, and then up the spine as the whole spine is turning. It's not just the neck, it's the whole spine. And in order to encourage that, you shift your weight to the left and then to the right. So let me show you the more advanced version of this. So when Master Zhang would teach this, he would say shift, for instance, shift your weight to the right, and then press your right ear down to your shoulder. That's kind of the first level version of this. It's a little more complex than that. What happens is your head comes around. The energy's coming up like this, all right, and then it curls down and in. All right, so it's like a plant that's growing up, and then the top curls down and in. So how do you do that? It would help to have a partner to explain this. Um, but what happens is the energy comes up your spine to the top to the go up to the top of the head, but it comes up to your jaw. All right, by jaw I mean your movable jaw, your lower jaw, and then it's gonna come out the jawline. Right, watch. It comes out the jawline and down. So it's not really pressing the ear down, it's pressing the jaw down. And that's why I say it comes up and then it comes out and presses down. All right? And then on the same side comes out the jawline and then presses down. And there's actually a function for that. I think I've demonstrated it before with a partner. Um, and if we ever get another partner in here, I can demonstrate again. But that's actually what you should be doing. So it's a little more complex than just turning your head. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Now, if you're paying attention to the jaw lines, what you should end up feeling is there's like a circle here. There's a circle that comes all the way around the head, follows the jawline, and meets in the center. So it's kind of a ping circle with a little shoe in it too. And what you're doing is tracing that circle. You're coming down to the center, it's coming around, and then it's coming down to the center again. Okay, so there's two ways you can think about using you're going to be using the microcosmic orbit when you do this. That is the Ren meridian in the front and the Du meridian in the back. That's the Yang meridian, this is the Yin meridian. There's two different ways you can think about this, and both of them are legitimate, but you need to be aware of which one you're doing and actually practice it. You can think that coming up like this, you're activating the Yang meridian in the back. And then as you come around like this, it's the Yin meridian. You're closing. Opening, closing. Open the Yang meridian, close the Yin meridian. Open the Du meridian, close the Ren meridian. Boom. That's perfectly legitimate. A little more advanced version of this is to switch those. So when you come up, you're kind of opening the Ren meridian in the front, but your focus is on the Ren meridian, not the Du meridian. When you close, if you look at your hand, this is the Ren meridian in front. This is the Du meridian in back. And you can think, okay, now I'm activating the Du meridian, right? Or you can actually think, that's activating the Du meridian. Right? You're crunching in like this. Crunch. Crunch. Yang. Yang. Oh, I'm actually using my Yang meridian in my back, and it's coming up my neck to the top of my head, and then using that head turn so if you if you do it this way, this is the Yang, this is the Yin, this is the Yang, this is the Yin. Okay, that's true for most Tai Chi and Qigong. It can be either way. It depends on what your Shin Yi is, what your mental intention is. When you actually do this, what's happened is somebody's grabbed you behind the neck, which is very dangerous because they jerk you, they can literally break your neck. So this is a way of getting out of that. If the guy's got his hand here, I can put my hand on his elbow, strengthen the Yang meridian, and watch. This goes this way, and this crunches down this way. And that will do something called Hua Jin, neutralizing him. And even if he's a fairly big, strong guy, he's not going to be able to pull your neck because you've locked up his arm. But that requires some real strength, right? Real strength in your whole column here, right? And that's what you're working on, is to develop that awareness and that strength when you do this. And center. right ear up. Right? Now you're doing the same thing with this circle that kind of goes around at an angle. Right? You're going to slip over to the left side and then very gently give the right side of the neck a little stretch. So it's a kind of a passive stretch. You don't want to do it too hard. Just let the weight of your head do it. And relax. And the left ear up. And relax. And right ear again. So you can say my intention is actually here on the side of the jaw, like I said, the jaw coming down. And that just passively lets myself stretch this without forcing anything, just a gentle stretch. And relax back to center. Cross the hands on the chest. Raise the chin. And relax. Drop the chin to the chest. Tuck it in and raise the back of the neck. And relax. So the reason that we do these neck exercises is this is an early morning class, and lots of people, including me, end up getting stiff necks when they sleep. Maybe they have bad sleep posture, but you have stiffness in your neck. And what these exercises do is stretch the right, stretch the left, stretch the front, stretch the back. So it's just very gently moving all the muscles in the neck without forcing anything. And what I find is it has completely relieved the I would wake up in real pain sometimes, and it's just completely relieved all that. Jill was just exercising a little more advanced version of this where you stick your tongue out. Jill,
Yeah, this
illustrate for us.
yeah, this is one that I just discovered recently because I carry a tremendous amount of stress in my jaw,
All right.
especially at night. And so it's basically putting the arm behind the back, tipping the head up and turning towards the arm, and then stick your tongue out. Or, oh no, wait, I got the arm wrong. Sorry.
Yes.
Because basically what you're doing is you're stretching
Yes.
the
Yes.
tendon in
Exactly.
there.
Right.
Yeah, just hold that and then just repeat on the other side.
That's true yoga. So these kinds of exercises for the neck, and Jill's right. The neck comes down into here, and the neck actually goes down the back to your hips. So, the whole area there is just to gently warm it up and loosen it up a little bit for the day. Um, when I do these like this, the chin forward and the chin tucked in, I also just sort of gently rock my spine. So it's literally almost like shaking your head no, but your focus is on the back of your neck, and just do it very gently, just getting a little stretch on each side of the spine. All right. So one more, chin up and relax and chin to the chest, tuck it in, lift the back of the neck. And now you can just gently rock the neck. And good. Um, our daughter has a little farm, just a little 2.5 acre farm, where she raises chickens and alpacas, and she has how many dogs has she got now? I think 5 dogs. Right. When they first get up, those dogs run around like mad people, and they're big dogs. They're Great Pyrenees, so the top of their head's about right here, right? And they get out in the pasture and they just run around. They chase each other, and that goes on for about 20 minutes, and then they flop down. All right, that 20 minutes is very similar to the exercises we do every morning. It's to get your chi moving. It's to get everything moving, right? And that's the purpose of these morning classes, is just to to get rid of all the stiffness of having slept all night, get the chi moving, get things oiled up inside, right? So that you can go on with your day in a little better shape. Okay, head rolls. Think about everything that we said for the head turns, because they count for the rolls too. And down to center and reverse. And down to center and back up. Forward spinal wave. So when you do the spinal waves, Master Zhang used to emphasize having your consciousness on your chin, right? As a kind of pointer, right? You're making a big circle, and what you want to do is engage the whole spine, right? So you raise your chin, and then just watch. You bring your chin down in a circle, and then it comes up the spine, right? Bring your chin down and touch the bottom of the spine and bring it up the back of the spine, and then do it again. So you end up engaging every vertebrae in the spine. And now you do exactly the same thing, only in reverse. So you tuck your chin in and you go down the spine, down, down, down to the bottom of the spine, and then you lift up in the Ren meridian in front. Down the Du meridian to the base of the spine, and then up. When you come up, your consciousness should be on the top of your head. And good. Shoulders. So we're not going to analyze this, but I did want to tie this in with what I said at the beginning of shoulder, elbow, wrist. That's cognate with your leg. So they're called the three outer harmonies: shoulder and hip, elbow and knee, wrist and ankle. Those tie together. When you move your wrist, you should be moving your ankle. Right? So this is a good exercise to practice this. Right? The shoulder and the hip are both rolling. Don't forget the hip. And if you pay attention, even though your arm below the shoulder, since this is a shoulder exercise, the elbow and the wrist should be almost passive, but not quite. There's like 1% in them. So watch. 1, 2, 3. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. I'm still conscious of them even though I'm not doing something like this. If you're doing that, it's way too much. Just like it's just like the ghost of an energy. But you should also be doing shoulder and hip, elbow and knee, wrist and ankle. All right? They're rolling and they're going in that sequence. And reverse. And the other side. And reverse. And reverse. Jill, too much elbow. Right? It's not like this. It's quiet. So one of the things, this very common to have too much intention in your elbows. When you push hands with somebody, one of the first things you check on is where they are unconsciously putting parts of their mind without even being aware of it. So Jill, if you and I were pushing hands, I would notice that part of your mind is caught in your elbows. You're not conscious of it. No, I'm serious. It's just like an ingredient, right? So what does that mean? That means you've got a weakness there that I can exploit. When you raise your elbow without being aware of it, you can't raise your elbow without putting your chi there too, and you're not aware of it. It's not that putting chi in your elbow, there's nothing wrong with doing that. What's wrong is to be unconscious of it. And so I could manipulate you by taking advantage of the places that you're unconscious. I can manipulate you by taking advantage of the places where you are unconscious. Right? So that's one of the things, right, as a push hands player you pay attention to. Too much. So you want to develop the ability to empty any of your joints at will. They're just empty. They're empty. Someone can push on you, there's nothing to push on because they're just empty. If you've got your part of your mind in a joint, that joint is going to be stiffer. Feel it. You can feel it yourself. Right? It's stiff. Something that's stiff can be used as a handle. Therefore, I can manipulate you by using your own mind. That's exactly what push, among other things, that's exactly what push hands is. And it's why you engage in it, because for you, Jill, I would be a mirror. I would be a mirror reflecting to you the places where you are stiff that you're not aware of. And of course, you're not, nobody, well, okay, I do it once and I don't have any stiffness. That's not how it works. It takes a couple of years, usually, to kind of work those things out. Because for the most part, push hands is done, is done silently. You're not usually saying to someone, oh, you're kind of stiff in here and there. No, it's just, you leave it up to that person to figure it out themselves. All right? But this class, I will point out, right? So it's just empty. Shoulders, these are shoulder exercises, not elbow exercises. Yes. And double. And reverse. So, in a way, you could say these Qigong exercises are practices in discovering what your unconscious habits are. And it's not just a habit of movement, it's a habit of arranging your mind and being in your body. If one can conquer the unconscious need to put chi in your elbows when you don't need to put chi in your elbows, you've you've melded with your body in a different way. You've become more you, less habit, less habitual, and more free. And what comes with free, what comes with habit is a lack of confidence because something in you is unconscious, and you know it, you just don't know what it is. So one of the ways to look at qigong and tai chi training is it's training and becoming more conscious of yourself, and that never ends as far as I can see. All right. So you just become conscious of the fact that you're doing this. Not that it makes that much difference. What makes the difference is becoming aware of what you're not aware of. I remember one time Master Zhang, he had developed a little more English than he started with, but it was still pretty primitive. And he was trying to explain what Tai Chi and Qigong was good for. And this is what he said: Big man, I can hear his voice. Big man come. You not afraid. You not afraid. You're not afraid of big aggressive people because you've trained and trained and trained not to become a superhero, but not to tense up. The tensing up is actually the fear. So what you've done is train and train and train with different partners to stay relaxed. It's a good trick. It's really hard to do under certain circumstances, but that's the idea. And it starts with little things like your elbows. Relax.
I'm reminded of a lesson that I did a week-long retreat in a process called sensory awareness.
Uh-huh.
And so one of the practices that we did is we would pick up a stone and we would walk with it. And the question that like blew my mind was, are you holding that stone with your eyes?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I am, it's just like, wow. Yeah, it really it made that connection of how much extra work that I was doing, you know,
That you didn't need to do, but
that I
that
do. Yeah, absolutely. Because it was basically, it was this whole process of pointing out how much extra work you're doing unconsciously. And so yeah, it's like kind of mind
that
blowing.
reminds me of a trick that I'm going to pull on you guys, you and Catherine and Kevin. in the Tai Chi class, once you get done and you've got the whole form, we're going to do it, and then I'm going to make a suggestion. Now that you know the form, close your eyes and try it with your eyes closed. And I'll tell you what will happen. You will not be able to do it. Which is the same thing as saying you're doing it with your eyes, and you prove it. You prove it by what happens is you lose your balance and you lose your coordination. Now, if you can continue to practice with your eyes closed, and then you will eventually kind of get into it. But you realize, all these complex moves, right? Your eyes are really an important part of that. But think about it. Should they be? Shouldn't my body be able to move through space without my eyes? I think it's the same lesson your teacher was teaching you there. All right, let's do the ankles. You'll have to do the wrists on your own. And rotate. Reverse. And the other side. And reverse. And close. And open. Close. And open. Close. And open. Close. And open. Doling. And touch the earth. And close your pores. Salute our masters. And salute your classmates. Thank you, everyone. Guys, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.